And a good evening, everybody, on a Wednesday night. Welcome to the best Dawg Gone Podcast in the land with Ethan and Heather, a part of the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of the Fans First Sports Network. Heather, how are you doing this evening?
I am recovering from yesterday still, but I am so happy. So it was an amazing day yesterday, but I'm good. How could you not be? The Cavs have the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I mean, they have the number 1 seed. The Guardians won
on a walk-off walk.
just improbable fashion. I didn't look it up. I'd be curious to know, not just winning on a walk, to walk the game off, but how often has that ever happened at a home opener or on opening day? I really would like to know overall if it was just the Guardians, but it was on a day when once again they couldn't get a hit off of a somewhat no-name pitchers. No one we've heard of. He's in his first major league season.
Well, we made him look like a Cy Young.
they get pitcher paid. The Guardians and the Indy. This is not just something out of the normal pattern for Cleveland baseball. It just is what it is. That's
the thing. Anybody that was watching the game that's not maybe nothing else was on, that this is Cleveland. Cleveland is going to Cleveland. So we were just like, hey, a walk-off walk, off Clevenger. that was poetic. I had friends that were at the game and he was texting me throughout the whole thing. He's like, not a hit. I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I'm like, are you sorry you went? And he said, no, they wouldn't have missed it.
Yeah. Somewhere Bob Uecker was like, we got blank GD hit.
That's all we got. A bit outside.
Right. And someone saying, you can't say that on the air. Don't worry. Nobody's listening anyway.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So long story. I'm doing great. I was in Cleveland all day yesterday and, just happy to be here. Happy to be doing this pod with you.
Yes, absolutely. This is good times. We got a lot of good stuff to talk about here. Let's start off let's close out March Madness because we talked about it from the beginning and let's get through the end. I mean, so first of all, the women's final, it ends up being UConn and South Carolina. The men's final, Florida and Houston. UConn, Florida win their respective tournaments there. What were your thoughts about the final for the women's side of things, UConn and South Carolina?
The women, the whole Final Four in the final game for the women, it was boring as a fan of the game and not a fan of the teams because it was a blowout. If I were a UConn fan, I would have been in my glory because I mean they annihilated. But just as a casual fan watching, I was like, meh, it's good.
Yeah.
It was good basketball by UConn, but you wanted to see a competitive game. Like the men's game, like the Florida-Houston game. I'm like, I'm not going to stay up for this. I'm not going to. And then it started to get really good. And I'm like, well, shoot, I guess I'm staying up for this game because it was a good game.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. I mean, the women's Final Four, I watched it. I sat there. It was a lazy Sunday afternoon as I was busy trying to get the beef short ribs to smoke. And I'm frustrated as I'm staring at the internal temperature, like, come on, will you get done? I'm hungry.
I know. Hurry up. I was actually at the Cavs game. I had it on my phone.
Okay. So you were busy doing something fun.
But I was watching because there were a bunch of people that were around me that were vested in it. So they're like, what's the score of the game? So we all kind of gathered while the Cavs were warming up.
Right. And it was just, it was so different this year than it was last year or even the year before. The viewership, from what I found online, 8.5 million for the women's final last year, 18.9 million. And we saw that, the Final Four in Cleveland, but the viewership for Caitlin Clark and then an undefeated South Carolina.
Right. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, I think, were the show last year.
Right. Well, and Angel Reese, they weren't even in the final because it was
no. The viewers, the whole season. Yeah, the whole season. That's people watched both of them. You either watched one or both of them. That's why you were so vested. And Paige, yeah, Paige everybody wanted to see her, but she didn't have I don't think she has the star appeal that a Caitlin or an Angel had.
They would have been, the viewership might have been better had Juju Watkins not been injured for USC. If they were playing, it would have made it better. And then the fact that it was just a blowout.
It was a blowout. It was not great.
Not at all. And Paige Beckers really didn't have that great of a game. It really was carried by, AZ Fudd and who's a senior, and a freshman, Sarah Strong. I mean, Beckers had an okay game, but they outmatched South Carolina, and they deserved the win. They got it. It was great.
It was really good.
It was Gino Ariema, his moments there, with Paige Beckers as she came off the floor and after the game. That's the kind of stuff that really you enjoy when you watch sports and you watch these collegiate athletes at that point. So that was great. UConn with a win, 82-59. Not so great as the viewership. You hope that the women's game can continue to grow, and it wasn't just like a one-off, a blip on the radar that they had this great viewership under Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese.
Yeah.
Because it's still good basketball like we talked about.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It was disappointing to see. Now the men's side of it.
Yes.
Look at that viewership. I mean, that was the best since 2019. They had 18.1 million views, but it was okay. First of all, Houston, I think having Houston in it was exceptionally helpful, because you don't think of powerhouses and you don't think of dynasties and you don't think of Houston in that. So I think that, it was a nice change of pace. And I think a lot of people were probably rooting for Houston. I was, and you got to see a really, really good game. I mean, it was what was it, 83 or 60? I'm sorry, 65, 63 or something like that.
Yeah, it was 65-63. Florida led 8-6 with 15 and a half minutes or so to go in the first half. They did not take the lead back until there were 46 seconds left in the second half, when they hit a free throw to make it 64-63. I mean, Houston did everything they could. At the end of the day, they were outmatched.
They were outmatched. They were, but they played so close, and they played it so that's just good coaching to me, because they were outmatched, but they played up to their talent.
They absolutely did. They overcame whatever deficiencies they might have or had. They obviously overcame it to beat Duke. Again, Duke had a better talent, but they played better and they did what they needed to do. And they gave Florida everything they wanted. Florida just had a little bit too much. Although the one player, and I wish I could remember his name, this Dingleberry, I don't know what he was doing on the floor. He couldn't hit a free throw. He stunk. I can't remember his name, and I'm trying to not remember it because he was so bad.
You're like, I need to get rid of the Men in Black me. Get rid of the whole memory.
Exactly. No, I'm like, what was going on? And Houston's defense was just stifling. They held Clayton in check for the game. It was great. It was a fantastic game. I was not planning on watching just like you were saying. And actually, I watched some shows I had DVR'd on Sunday, and I turned it on like, hey, this is a close game. I'm going to have to watch
it. Turn it back on. That's kind of how I was. I had it on in the background, and I'm like, I'm going to lay down here, and I couldn't stop watching. So
I know. Once you start, once you pop, you can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's like Lay's. You can't have just one. Wasn't that was it Lay's? I don't remember. It was some junk food that I should have been eating.
Exactly. No, Lay's was in fact bet you can't just have just one, but then the Pringles is one.
Pringles was pop. Once you pop, you can't stop. I remember, right? And I like both of them. Pringles gets too much hate.
Pringles are solid. Pringles are definitely solid. Do you ever eat those? Do you ever eat Munchos out of the vending machine? The Munchos?
No, I've never had those. But you need to try cheese. To all our viewers, you need to try the cheese Pringles. They're very good. They're very good. And I'm a snacker. They have my seal of approval. So I digress.
Yeah, absolutely. So certainly the men's Final Four lived up to the hype, and the women's, unfortunately, it was a nice game, but it wasn't as great. So what is it? So yes, first walk in a 1-0.
2009.
Wow.
Okay. So that's it. Yeah. Cleveland's gonna Cleveland.
That is amazing, and thank you for the research there, Mike. Appreciate that.
Yes, Mike, you're a friend of. We love you. You're a friend of the show.
He's a great friend of the show. He's the man.
Yes.
But before we move into our Cavs topic, let's take a moment here and have a word from our sponsors. You are tuned in to the best Dawg Gone podcast in the land. And welcome back to the best Dawg Gone podcast in the land with Ethan and Heather, part of the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of Fans First Sports Network. So we just talked about the Final Four. How do we move over? Do you want to go to the diamond, or you want to stay on the hardwood?
Let's stay on the hardwood. Let's keep with the theme, because there's a lot to unpack, and the playoffs are right around the corner. They're here. The last game of the season, last two games of the season are coming up, and we only have two left, don't we? We have three? Okay. I only care about Sunday because I'll be there again. So.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
I know we play. You're right. Yeah, we play the Pacers tomorrow. Is it tomorrow? Okay, I have to
Pacers tomorrow. We've got Pacers and Knicks on the road.
Yeah, Pacers and Knicks. Friday is the Knicks. Yeah.
And then the Pacers at home on Sunday. And tomorrow the Cavs are going to be sitting. Let's
Everybody.
see. Mitchell, Strus, Mobley, and Garland.
They should sit them all. I mean, honestly, like at this point, I guess you could play for the number one seed overall, but that's a stretch. That's going to be a stretch. And I don't think it's worth the injury risk right now. Especially with Donovan nursing an ankle. Now, I will tell you, he was fine. I'm not bragging. I am bragging a little bit. We were literally right behind the bench. Like literally, I could have reached over and touched Isaac Okoro. I didn't, but I wanted to. And I'm telling you, he wasn't even limping. Donovan wasn't. He came back. He played a little bit more. He was fine. It's just precaution. And why not? Why do you need to play? Why do you need to? You got nothing to prove.
Right. There's nothing to prove. I think there's a couple arguments I would make, that would make me want them to play are these. One would be, as you said, if they still had an opportunity, a legit opportunity to get the number one overall seed, break any tiebreakers with Oklahoma City. But that's kind of like, at this point, we're 2 games back. I don't think it is going to happen. So forget about it. The second thing, the other question will be, okay, so they're not playing tomorrow in Indiana. But then the question will be, do they play it all on Friday a little bit? How much do they play on Sunday to close out the season? Because they've got a week off. While the play-in tournament goes, they've got a week off. So the question then becomes rest versus rust. And it's not just the Cavs. Any other team that's not in the play-in tournament and also has a position locked up. I mean, Boston, they've got nothing else to play for at this juncture. They're locked into the 2 seed in the East. Again, really nothing to play for. The Knicks are sitting there. They can't move up from the 3rd. Now the Pacers could, in theory, catch them.
Yeah,
but I don't know. I mean, they are within.
Anything can happen, right? Anything can happen. But do I see it happening? No. And we are going to get fined. It is. I know that's a rule, but you know what? Oh, well, would I rather pay the fine, or would I rather go to the finals? Like if I'm Dan Gilbert, like I'm okay with that.
He doesn't have that kind of money laying around. Oh, I don't know.
Times are tough right now.
They are. No, but what was interesting? So last night, the Bulls actually, as the Cavs,
they listed everybody.
Right, because tonight's game is more important to them. The 4 Eastern Conference play-in tournament teams have been locked in. Orlando, Atlanta, Chicago, Miami, in that order right now. And for Chicago, they've got a game, let's see, tonight. They are playing against Miami. So this is an important game to stay
Yeah, that's what I'm
above
looking
Miami.
at.
They are both
Yeah.
at 36 and 43. They're only a game behind Atlanta at 37 and 42. So it's a very important game for them. But they sat 4 of their starters
Everybody,
last
they
night.
sat everybody, and it was a beatdown. It was definitely a beatdown last night. Like it should have been, even if they had played their starters, it should have been a beatdown. Chicago just isn't that great this year. They're not horrific, but they're not that good.
They're not okay. I guess what I would say is they're not
mediocre.
okay. If you matched up each team playing their best basketball, the Cavs are way better than the Bulls. However,
Absolutely. Yeah.
as you were sitting there, you had a front row seat to it.
Mhm.
I'm just sitting at home yelling because I cannot believe what they're doing. The Cavs have gotten into this habit of thinking teams are going to see them and lie down on the ground and play dead.
Well,
They think the teams are going to go down by 10, 15 points, and they're going to lie down and die, and that's not the case.
The Sacramento game upset me. I wanted to clinch the
Yes.
number 1 seed where we were sitting. It was just a selfish thing, but it aggravated me because we should have beat Sacramento. Like,
For sure.
But you know what? We got torched. So you can't. There were a couple of players that were playing out of their minds, and I don't know. I don't know if it was good defense or if it was bad defense or if it was just one of those nights where everything they did was right. Because Ty Jerome was high scorer and he had like 20 points, I think. So we weren't exactly lighting it up on the offensive side.
No, the game against Sacramento, the Cavs were not shooting the ball well. They had a very poor night shooting. But at the end of the day, there are certain players that you let them get going on you.
Oh, and it's game over. It's a freight train. You're not going to stop it.
No, and that was one of my number one or maybe my number one pet peeve is not being locked in from the opening tip and playing very tough defense right from the opening tip off and keeping these guys out of a rhythm. DeMar DeRozan killed us again.
He absolutely killed us. I mean, I'm watching and I'm like, can someone cover him? Can someone guard him, please? No.
Yeah.
We just free range.
No, it was not good. The good thing about last night
in my basketball game.
Yes, I was. You will take my rants and you will like them. I have a microphone and you do not right now, so you will listen to every word I have to say, to quote the wedding singer.
Every single word. Yeah, sorry.
Every single word. These things happen. And then, okay, is it just me or can someone hide Sam Merrill's shoes? Please take his shoes away.
Or like lace them together so he can't put them on. Yeah.
He's a liability defensively. He needs, when they shrink that rotation down in a week or so to start the playoffs, glue him to the bench, please. Just sit down.
He's a liability offensively. Yeah, like he's just all the way.
Yeah, I'm not loving. I know he can be a good shooter, but how at what cost? At what cost? You're where now. Let me ask you this: you had a scare last night.
I had a scare. I was like, and I was right there. I was literally right there where we were sitting. That's where it happened.
That's where it went down. Yes.
I was willing to donate my back to him if that's what he needed. I have a decent back. I was going to donate my back. I'm like, why isn't anybody tending to him? He fell hard. And he did.
He definitely crashed to the ground there. I thought you were going to have to, you might have had to go out there and have a throwdown with one of the Bulls players. It was a clean play, but he went down hard there. I'm glad that obviously he got back up and was able to continue on in the game. And the one thing I will say is, whatever the case may be, is it just the Cleveland fan in me that I am constantly worried, regardless of the opponent, that they are going to pose problems? whether
No. That's
it's,
a Cleveland thing.
we've been scarred. Do we have PTSD?
Yes. It's because of Cleveland that I have severe trust issues. I don't trust anybody or anything because of Cleveland. Why would I? Why am I going to give you the opportunity to let me down? I'm going to go into this prepared to be let down.
Yes.
You're not going to hurt me. I'm going to do that all by myself.
Yeah, I will be pleasantly surprised. That's what I want to do. I mean, and last night you talked about it. Mike actually points out something good here. The Grizzlies player, broken wrist. Thank goodness that's all. But
that's all it was. Did you see that? Did you see that? That was so scary. And you can see, and I can't remember who it was. I don't know. I don't remember who it was that fouled him. And yes, it was a flagrant.
I think KJ Simpson might be the name.
He didn't do it on purpose.
No,
he did not try to. The hate comments online, none of our viewers, keyboard warriors, stop it. You're piling on this guy. You could see he was ready to vomit. He felt so bad. And he apologized online again today. And just the comments, he didn't do it on purpose. No one does that on purpose. That was so scary. I'm so glad that he's okay.
Okay, let me ask you this. What is the worst injury moment you've seen watching a sporting event?
Kevin Durant? Or was it Kevin Durant? Or no. Was it Kevin Durant? Yeah, it was Kevin Durant. But who was it? Okay, there are a couple. It was in the Olympics. Was it Paul George? Paul George.
Oh, in the Olympic qualifier.
Yeah, in the Olympic qualifier. Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking
about. The court was there was this much space, and that was bad. Mm-hmm.
That was awful.
And then when in 2000, and it would have been 2017, I think it was the opening game against, I can't remember who it was against, but it was the Cavs. It was
Gordon Hayward.
Gordon Hayward, yeah. That was bad. I'm getting goosebumps. Those were two of the made you sick.
Yeah, I think that when in the Final Four for Louisville, the player that his leg and the bone came out of his leg. Do you remember that? The men's Final Four.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No. But some of them, and then you have the 6'8" who posted online in slow motion. I'm please don't repost an injury like that. The Nick Chubb. I mean, if we're just going to talk about it. That was really brutal. That was against Pittsburgh. That was brutal because we love him so much. And you could tell we're he just absolutely obliterated his knee.
Yeah. When you start seeing a guy's foot that's pointed in the wrong direction,
yes.
the guy, the Houston Texans player,
it was a receiver. Who was it? People help us.
Was it Tank Dell?
I want to say it was Tank Dell, but I can't. Is that right?
Against Kansas City at the end toward the end of the season. I mean, just crazy injuries like that. And then the Tua Tagovailoa when he got knocked out.
Which concussion? Which one
though?
It
was terrible. It was ridiculous. So anyway, we went off the rails here, folks, and I apologize for that.
Yeah, but we're still kind of on topic.
We're still talking in the association here. Now, last night also, the Celtics and the Knicks had a heck of a battle. I don't know if you got a chance to listen to that or see any highlights. Man, Tatum delivered. He misses. He gets fouled down 3. Only hits 2 of 3 free throws. They fouled New York. New York hits there 2, and then he comes down and they let him shoot. So that kind of goes to the Kenny Atkinson philosophy of if you're up by 3, just foul them.
Keep fouling, yeah.
Free throws, and then you've got to hit yours. I've been against that a little bit. I've been kind of angry about that, but that was a great game. And the best part of that, you tell me, I like the fact that they are wearing each other out, and I like the prospect of the Celtics and the Knicks potentially meeting in a second round series and just wearing each other out.
Absolutely, because it's a very physical series. Regardless of who's playing, there just seems to be that underlying hatred in a
Yes.
sense, and it still carries over. So I would love to see that. So right now, I just pulled it up just out of the way it stands right now. If the records stay the exact same, everybody wins. It's when, and we know they're not because they're going to play each other, but
Right.
it's Cleveland, Boston. Cleveland has clinched the number 1. Boston is solidly number 2. There's nothing that can change that. And then you have the Knicks, the Pacers, Milwaukee, Detroit, and then 7, 8, 9, and 10. There's quite a bit of fluctuation that's going to happen. I think the field is set, but what seeds they're going to be. So you have Orlando, Atlanta, Chicago, and Miami. So the field is set. It's just what seed are they going to be? Who are they going to play? It'll be interesting to see who the Cavs are going to have to play. And if they get out of the first round, what's going to happen in that second round? Like, where are those seedings going to be? I'm more interested in the second round, I think, than I am in the first round right now.
Well, certainly. I wouldn't look past the first round. I think as things stand.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. Not that I'm locked up. I'm a Cleveland fan, so
right. Like as we
anything can happen. Anything has happened.
Exactly. I think that Orlando probably will. I'm going to guess they're going to lock up the number 7 seed. And as Mike just pointed out, if the Celtics get the Magic aren't going to go away easily. They will definitely give the Celtics a hard time. I never count out the Heat. Stupid Heat culture and stuff. Obviously, Chicago's been playing well.
No, you never, ever count out the Heat.
No, they just, even when they're bad, they're mediocre. And Chicago's been playing better as of late. Obviously, we didn't see them at their full capacity last night. And Atlanta gave us trouble early in the season, but we seem to have rectified that situation, and we sent them George Niang. So, I mean, what else could go right or wrong? I mean, what am I?
Right.
Karis and George, and we got back DeAndre Hunter. What a move that was. Let's just say we get past the first round, and then you're talking about Indiana. Potentially at this point, the 4-5 matchup would be Indiana and Milwaukee. Indiana has they made it to the conference finals last year. They have firepower, and they've given the Cavs some difficulties. They beat the Cavs, and the Cavs went there.
It's a tough matchup. The Pacers are a tough matchup for the Cavs. They have been. It'll be these the last 2 games that they're playing each other aren't going to matter. Well, they're going to matter for the Pacers, though.
Yeah, they could. I have this feeling that they're going to be, again, they've got 3 games up on Milwaukee. I don't know if they own the tiebreaker with the Bucks or not. But yeah, and they do technically have a chance to climb over the Knicks.
They do.
We'll see. We'll see what happens here, but I'd imagine sticking them at the 4, and the Pacers and the Bucks are going to fight it out. The Bucks obviously have Giannis, and they're going to be, they are what they are, who they are.
Yeah, that's, you kind of know what you're going to get with Milwaukee. They don't worry me. I agree with Mike, and he made the correction he said the second round. Yeah, the Pacers are a team that I would like to avoid. Do I think we could beat them? Yeah, I think we should. But do I think they'd take us 6-7 games? Maybe,
Halliburton is very good, and they played out of their minds last year.
Yeah, there's no team on the Pacers, or there's no player on the Pacers that I'm like, oh, I like him. I'm like, yeah, you're.
Yeah, I don't love them, but they certainly are scary. And did you look at the Western Conference? That thing is a mess. 4 through 7. So
are all. Yes. So the Clippers, the Nuggets, the Warriors, the Grizzlies, look at me knowing all the team names, go sports. They are all with the same record. And then you have Minnesota, 1 game behind that. So this is where it does matter. In the Eastern Conference, these last 3 games, they don't matter. In the Western Conference, these last 3 games are critical. They're crucial.
They really are. And tonight you've got the Lakers and the Mavericks will be on national TV tonight. Luka returning to Dallas. So that's, of course, a big one there. Now, so we're going to hit on 2 things here as we talk about Western Conference that one is on the agenda, talking about the Denver Nuggets and the coaching thing and the GM firing. The other thing is the referees, because if you recall last night in the Lakers game, Luka got a second technical and got chucked, and got ejected from the game. They rescinded it. So you screw up and a guy gets kicked out of the game and changes, and potentially he could change something. And then you're like, oops, we screwed up.
My bad. It's like Clueless. Oops, my bad. No, you are really literally changing the outcome of the game.
Exactly. And, yeah, we'll get to the angering replay and the refs here in a minute. I'm going to bite my tongue on that because I might bite a hole through it.
We have a whole segment on that.
I got a whole segment on that. What in the world is going on in Denver? Are they on a Rocky Mountain high?
They are on a Rocky Mountain high. It is okay. So if you don't know, Denver fired everyone. They fired their head coach, and okay, so what I'm trying to figure out though is, did they fire Calvin or Calvin Booth, or did they choose to not renew him? Like, that's what I'm trying to, they jettisoned.
I've read it both ways. I've read it both ways.
Yeah, I mean, it ultimately results in him getting fired. Like, he's not going to be a part of the organization anymore, but they were kind of sneaky about it. But why now? Now, the general manager came out and released a video, and essentially he said there were he said, what I would say is that, having observed that group over a period of time, there were certain trends that were very worrisome to me at different points in time. You could have addressed this after the All-Star break. You didn't have to. I feel like you're messing with the continuity of a team when you need it the most. They're going to be into the postseason. Why would you mess with that right now? Why wouldn't you wait? And he said they didn't want an early playoff exit. So what are you going to say if you do have an early playoff exit now? You can't blame it on the coach.
No, I have no idea what's going on, because we just saw, I thought it was crazy that it happened a week ago in Memphis or whenever that was. Taylor Jenkins gets fired. But now, again, right now, the Nuggets, the Grizzlies, they're all sitting they're going to be in the playoffs, and the Nuggets are 2 seasons removed, in 2023, they won the title.
Yeah.
They had to make different changes and roster moves because of salary implications and such, as far as I know. So I don't know. There must have been something going on behind the scenes that made them have to make the change now.
It was reminiscent of the David Blatt. When they fired David Blatt, we were number 1 in the East. And I mean, it was earlier in the season, but it was very baffling. You're like, why would you mess with that? And then come to find out that, he had no respect in the locker room. The players that Coach LeBron didn't like him. So, I don't know what's going on in the locker room. This screams something happened that we don't know about, and that they're just not going to, it's not going to come out for years to come. But I have no idea, because he said he knows that the timing wasn't ideal. Really? Thanks, Captain.
So
I know. So I don't know. As a Denver fan, if we have any Denver fans, I don't know if we do, but you're watching the replay. Yeah. Apparently, he didn't have, he wasn't him.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. The only thing I heard today, the only blip I heard was maybe he was rough on the guys. Maybe he didn't mince words. Malone, that is, didn't mince words with players, and they're too much babies.
They are. Their egos can't handle being told that they're not, perfect.
Yeah, it's really just crazy. I know they're 11-13 since the All-Star break. They've lost 4 in a row, but they are a very good team. And that West, I gotta say, it's not an open and shut case. Oklahoma City certainly looks like the favorite to come out of that.
Oh, absolutely. Like they look like it's almost like it's Oklahoma. And I'm not discounting any teams in the West because they have a very strong, the West, it's very strong compared to the Eastern Conference. But it almost feels like it's Oklahoma City, it is the Cavs, it's Boston, and then maybe LA up to a point now, maybe. And then maybe. And then the rest.
Pretty much. It's the styles make fights argument.
Well,
let's wait and see how this all plays out. Oklahoma City looks tremendous. Playoff basketball is a lot different. Last year, Oklahoma City had the 1 seed and they got bounced.
I know. And that's the thing. That's where it is so cliche, and we do say it, but anything can happen. But that's there is that. Okay, so with NCAA, you are one and done. So you only have to play magnificently one game. You really only have to, and anybody can win one game. It's these types of series are what separate them. But a 5-game series,
Thankfully, these are all 7. Thankfully,
is the first round 7 now?
Yeah, it was only back when the Cavs were getting screwed by Michael Jordan that they were 5-game series.
I'm just used to winning them in like 5, so.
That's
we're not going at all. So
right. Yes, no. We've been very fortunate in that way. So just craziness there. What's going on around the league and this firing. Now, the other thing we were talking about is. So we just talked about the Luka Doncic thing and the technical foul being rescinded. Well, that Sunday night game that you were at Rocket Arena.
Max Strus. Oh.
First of all, you've got the missed shot clock violation for Zach LaVine with 46 seconds to go. It would have still been a 5-point game. It changed the entire complexion of the game.
It did.
And they admitted afterwards in the pool report, like the pool reporting, they're like, well, we made a mistake. And the ball was back in play or some kind of lame ass thing. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah,
you
guys were serious.
Everything else, and you couldn't stop it then. That was BS. That was complete BS.
Well, and they actually showed a replay of that game too. And there were every seat had a behind in it. There were people, the place was vibrating from the boos. Like it was insane because they showed the replay and it was so obvious.
Right. So instead of being down 5, now you're down 7. They ultimately get to within, did they draw to within 3 or were they within?
They did. Yeah.
And then Donovan steps out of bounds. We think we're going to the line to possibly tie it up. Oh, wait, there's a review. Oh, he stepped out of bounds. Are you serious? Are you serious?
You'll review that.
I'm like, you missed the other thing, and then you get this. No, you got to be kidding me here. And
but
then
Mike has a great point.
Yes,
they can do a post review. Like, what are we doing here?
Right. I don't understand where the letter of the law is and why that was not applied there. It just makes no sense. It's absolutely angering. And then the fact that, again, there was the technical on Max Strus, which they later rescinded. Well, because I don't remember if they scored a point at that.
Well, so they called a foul on Strus and they showed the replay again, and there was very little contact. I'm not going to pretend to be an NBA expert or a ref, but I'm telling you that wasn't a foul. So that's what he was yakking. He was mad, but he let it go. He walked away and he turned around and said something
right. So if they rescinded it, and I don't remember this, and this is where, Heather, I would have to look at the stats. Let's just assume they made one free throw. And they got one. Shot technical or one shot technical. Let's say
it was one shot, but I mean that because they got the ball back. Yeah, and they made both of their. That completely took the wind out of our sails.
Well, it's an extra point. You start looking at the little things, and you can't blame it all on that because, quite frankly, I blame that loss on the Cavs' lackadaisical nature.
Right. They were
had a
very,
bad
very,
team night.
yeah. I mean,
And
Ty Jerome cannot be your high scorer. I love the guy, but he can't be your high scorer with 20.
With a healthy lineup for sure. He should
Yes.
not be the high scorer. So the problem is, like, what the hell is going on that these refs, I know they make a ton of calls. I looked it up, and the latest stats they have, this is actually up on NBA.com.
This stat is disgusting.
Through March 6th, that was overall the overturn rate out of 1,025 challenges, or pardon me, I'm sorry. It's 1,025 successful challenges, 609 unsuccessful. 62.7% of the coaches' challenges result in a call being overturned.
If I was wrong at my job 63% of the time, I would get let go. And if my team was wrong 63% of the time, they would have a serious discussion. What are we going to do to fix this? What are we going to do to turn this around? Because that is abhorrent. And I understand that the refs are human beings, but you cannot be wrong like 63% of the time. You can't do it. And that is just what is challenged. That is not the calls that are changing the outcomes of because you only have 2 challenges. Well, 3, right? If you're successful.
It's 1. It's 2 if you get the first one right.
Oh, is it only 1 and done? Okay.
It's 1. If you get that right, you get the second challenge.
So you have to be careful.
Yes.
Right. You have to be very careful with what you're using. So you're not even getting the full weight of how wrong they are all the time. And I don't love the Monday morning reports when they come out and they say we were wrong with this, because what good does that do unless there are actual consequences to start finding the refs? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. And I'm getting very loud and very animated because it's aggravating. It is aggravating.
Okay, so there's a couple parts of this. So first of all, on a called foul, the overturn rate is 54.5%. Out of bounds, 76.9% overturned. Like, the person challenged the call, got it overturned. I mean, how are they? I understand a lot of these things happen in very quick succession. And they make a lot of calls throughout the game that they do get right. But it's mind-boggling that they aren't getting more of these things right. I don't understand why. And Mike's right. What's the point of doing this?
What's the point? Right.
Like, are you going to go back and replay the game because you screwed it up? You changed everything with that one call, you jackass.
Right. Exactly. You're literally affecting the outcome. And for some of these teams, now, should they have played better? Yeah, the Cavs did not lose because they had these bad calls, but they were egregiously bad calls. And you can't have that, especially in the playoffs. And the NBA, I think, needs to really examine this, because especially with the controversy that they had years ago, people still think these games are being fixed. They still do.
Oh,
stuff like this happen, it just fuels that fire. It just fuels that conspiracy theory. Do I think they're being fixed? No. Do I think that the quality of the officiating is what the issue? Yes. I don't think that they're as qualified.
No, I think that they, quite frankly, I don't know if you and I discuss this or others discuss this. Maybe you add another official, get a 4th official, so that you've got another set of eyes.
Right.
These players are doing moves and things that they didn't used to do. I mean, a Euro step. You know,
the crab dribble, but LeBron and the crab dribble.
Right. I mean, the crab dribble. What about Donovan with his? Oh, I thought that was a carry. Isn't that palming? Isn't that a carry?
It's not anymore, though.
How?
They don't call this stuff consistently. They don't call the Euro step. Drives me crazy. I'm like, that is 6 steps. And they don't, offensive fouls aren't called so much anymore. either. You don't see that a lot because players are afraid to take a charge because, but you're also going to get fined if you are flopping. So, and I blame Anderson Varejao for that one. No one can take a charge. No one can make a defensive foul look like an offensive foul better than Anderson Varejao.
I don't know. Vlade Divac was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when Shaq called them the Sacramento Queens? Don't spit your water out. We're doing.
Oh, good times. You're never going to see that anymore.
Those are some amazing series. Between the Kings and the Lakers back in the day. I was just talking about that with my buddy, but yeah, C. Webb, Mike Bibby, Jason Williams.
Yeah.
Jason Williams, Vlade, and Stojakovic.
Who didn't love Stojakovic? It was just so fun to say his name.
It was. It absolutely was. Well, and you know who the interim coach is of the Denver Nuggets? It is the son of Rick Adelman.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, basketball's in your blood, right?
I guess so. These people grow up around the game. And so replays have got to get better. I know the NCAA tournament, especially the men's tournament, every time you turned around, they were calling a replay. I'm like, this is pretty obvious, isn't it? I'm looking at this. What are we doing? And they couldn't do it quickly.
Well, and that's the thing too. You change the whole pace of the game. So in baseball, when you do the replay and it takes forever, you're not necessarily changing the pace of the game because baseball is already a little bit slow. But basketball, you're cooling down. You have a shooter who's on fire and just heat checking, and you have a play that's going to take 5 minutes to review. That's a problem in basketball. So,
100%.
And I don't know if we want to keep talking about basketball, but we could segue into baseball because baseball is kind of the same, Angel Hernandez, when you know the name of an umpire, it's not like it's Hockules. Like, who Hockules is because he could be out there on the field playing. But when you know the name of an umpire or a ref or an official, that's not good. That's a problem.
No, I should not know these names.
Never.
I should not know that when I hear, in the NBA from now on, if I ever see Natalie Sago, doing a game, I'm going to lose my mind. If I hear Scott Foster, I start to worry. I mean, there are certain guys that I'm like, oh my God. But yes, Angel Hernandez was horrific.
He was horrific, but you brought up, Natalie, that's a really good point because it's something that we had talked about earlier this year. Guys, we're talking about all of these bad calls, these horrific calls that have been made. They were made by men. So let's not lose sight of the fact that men are just as bad at officiating as Natalie is.
And Natalie Sago handed out technicals to Ty Jerome, and we're like, what the hell is going on? And we're thinking and so people were blaming it on emotional women.
Right. That's true. Got a technical that got rescinded because the ref got butthurt because he said a comment to him. His little feelings got hurt. So I'm just putting it out there. Yeah, no, Mike, Natalie is really bad. But our point is that she's not really bad because she's a woman. She's just a really bad ref.
She's bad at her job.
Yeah.
She's bad at her job. I want high knees ref. I want high knees ref from college. You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Don't spit your water out. I'm gonna make you spit your water at this juncture. I will catch you.
I'm thirsty today. It's just water. It really is just water. I gotta hydrate.
Overhydrating. Do you think these days kids are overhydrated constantly with the water bottles?
It's the what are they? I don't even know what they are. Lana got me this for my birthday, which is the only reason I had. This is literally the only one that I have. So I don't even know what they are. Yetis or Stanleys. That's right. Stanleys. So can you overhydrate though? I'm not.
No. Okay. But do you remember? All right. We're going to go off the rails here just for a moment before we turn to some baseball. Do you remember in school, the only time you got up from the classroom, you got up in like in elementary school, You went down the hall, you got
Yep.
water, and used the restroom like once in the morning, once in the afternoon. That was about
like
it.
after recess or before recess.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
You didn't have a water bottle in class.
No, you had like the nasty, rusty water from the water fountain that everybody had their mouths all over.
Yes,
it's no wonder. Yeah, it's no wonder we're not catching anything because we drank water out of the hose and out of a water fountain.
We built up our immunity. What is wrong with kids that they constantly have to have a bottle? Are you a baby?
They actually drink it, or is it just a showpiece?
I have no idea. My kids with the water bottles, I'm like, you need a water bottle? Really? Seriously? Is this a thing?
It's a fashion accessory. Yeah.
I don't even know anymore.
You know what? The moral of the story, everyone, is stay hydrated.
No. But we talked about baseball, the umpires. We have talked about this ad nauseum. The spring training, they were allowed to use and test out this the robot umpires. You could have a couple of challenges, and it was lightning quick. They use this Hawkeye technology, really fast. And I started watching the games since opening day. The regular season began in Major League Baseball, and I'm like, oh my God, we've got to get these things in there at full time because this is terrible. This is absolutely terrible how bad these calls are and how inconsistent the umpires are. But I don't think that's going to save the Guardians. Sadly, they can't hit worth.
They cannot hit. I have the game on right now. It's still 3-1, and it's the White Sox, and they're like the worst. They're worse than the Guardians, and they should be. I don't know what to think. It's still too early, and I almost wonder if we outkicked our coverage last year with that team.
Yes, I think it's a little bit of that. I do think we caught lightning in a bottle last year, and everything that had to go right went right.
It did.
You lose Shane Bieber after 2 starts, and he's kicking butt.
Right.
And somehow they managed to piece it together all season long. Everything they did worked, and it's very early. You're right.
It is very early, but I feel like this is the real Guardians team as opposed to what it was last year.
Like about a 500 team or so.
Yeah, I feel like this is what we're going to see, and this is the real team that we should have had last year. But
yeah, I don't know what to think. All I know is that what's most disappointing is the
Yep, you're not wrong. And one of the runs was from a flipping walk, so.
Right.
There's that. You had to get on base, right? We had to get on base, but still.
The defense is horrific.
It's really bad. Yeah.
Jose had another error today.
Yeah. It's really not good.
And I want to shoot Bo Naylor to the sun.
He texted me. Well, at first I read it wrong. Yeah. So guys, Ethan texted me about that. And I was like, what are you even saying right now? And then I'm like, oh, I was blurry vision. I'm like, I need to read this the right way. Yes, we need to send him straight to the sun. He's had a massive regression. But that was another thing. It was Bo Naylor wasn't that bad last year.
He was pretty bad at the plate.
I say wasn't that bad. I didn't say he was good. I say he wasn't that bad.
Oh, he was pretty terrible.
He looks worse this year, though, to me.
He does. I mean, for as many people that complain about Hedges at the plate, I'd much rather have his crappy hitting because at least he can field the position well, and he calls a better game than Naylor does.
He does call a really good game. I think we got caught up in the Josh Naylor, Bo Naylor storyline. As Cleveland fans, we love that feel good story, and I feel like we just got caught up in that. Like we fell in love with others, and and then they both hit a home run. I think they hit back-to-back home runs in one game. So it was just this feel good story, and the Guardians were doing so well, and it was just easier to overlook it. And now we have some glaring issues. Like I said, it's yikes on bikes right now. We do have 2 on. Let's see if we can get them in. I doubt it, but
Is it the top of the eighth or the bottom? I'm looking. Is it the top of the
It's
eighth?
the
Heather?
bottom. It's the bottom of the eighth, but it shows
Okay.
that it's the top of the eighth. No, we're the home
Oh.
team.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm. No, they're
Are we?
saying.
Oh, no. It's the Guardians. Okay, so Chicago has 2-1. Guys, my TV is like all the way over there, and there's the eyes aren't. Yeah,
You know
it's
what?
Chicago. It is. It's the top of the eighth.
Okay.
There's 2 outs. Chicago has 2-1.
Oh, great. Who do we have pitching? We got Hunter Gaddis on there. Which guy's going to light a fire? Hey, is it James Karen? Did we bring him back to walk some guys, throw some terrible pitches?
It's Heron.
Oh, heroin? I need some after watching that guy.
I mean,
hey. I don't know.
Yeah. It's Heron.
They introduced spicy mustard in the hot dog races.
Oh, I mean, what else? What other reason do we need to go to a game now? To pay $70 to park to go to a game? Yes, you heard me. $70 to park now, right across from the stadium. $70. We should have invested in a parking lot.
We should have actually. What was the atmosphere like downtown? You were on the news.
It was
you were at
crazy. Yeah, we were on the news. We were on the news at the 6 o'clock news, the 10 o'clock news, and then we were on this morning too.
Did these people know you guys, or
no,
was this just?
They didn't know us. They didn't know us from Adam, but we were having a really good time, and they saw that, so they just came over and they wanted to interview us. Yeah, we were there we didn't actually go to the game, but we were at we started at the Harry Buffalo, and let me tell you, the line was out the door to get drinks, to get in. Like, it was crazy. There were so many people there, and everyone was just so happy. Everyone was just so happy to be there. It was so cold. But people didn't care. Like, it was just everybody was high-fiving you. And Lana, my little stick of dynamite, was there, and she had an agreement with someone. I can't really tell the story, but she had an agreement with someone. So she had some White Sox gear on, and I thought for sure people were going to harass her, but no one did. Everyone was just coming up, and they're like, White Sox, like how? And so she's like, no, I have my Guardians, or I have my Cavs coat on. She's like, it was an agreement that I had with someone. So
yeah, that's
but they were so nice though. It proved to us that Cleveland really is a good place to go. As long as you're not in Pittsburgh or Baltimore here.
Or Philadelphia. But know, I think the thing is that, first of all, it depends on the person. It depends on how they're acting as to how they get treated by others.
Well, and she's so little. She's pocket-sized.
Right. She wasn't acting a fool, so people aren't going to give her a bunch of grief, which is great.
Right.
But here's the question to you, Heather. At what point is making a bet and having to wear another team's gear outside of your home to a venue, to whatever, at what point do you draw the line? Is there a point
I wouldn't have. Okay, so I can't say it was a bet. It was an agreement because the person, it's a whole story. I can tell you that the person that she had an agreement with is a very well-known player, and I would have made that agreement for that player. So it was a really cool story. It's just I can't. I wish.
And that is okay. And we will not, as they say on my favorite shows on ESPN, Cleveland, no names, please.
No names, please. Yeah, no names, please. But I promise you that it was like all in fun. And she had her and when we got to the Cavs game, she put a Cavs hat on. So it was just literally for that one game. I promise you, she will be Guardians up all year. But yeah. There are certain things that I won't stoop to. Like, I would never wear Michigan ever. I lost it was an actual bet. I challenged my team 1 year, and I said that if they hit like an X amount of collections at work, that I would wear Bengals gear. And not only did my team hit that goal, they blew that goal. It was the highest collection month that we had that whole entire year. Yeah. And they bugged me, and I had to leave it up for like a month or something. Like it was something ridiculous. And my soul died a little. I will never do that again. I will never do that again.
You know, I don't understand it. I've always been a Cleveland fan, especially the Cavs. And I've always been an Ohio State fan. And for some reason, my best friend, I know one of my childhood best friends, for like my bar mitzvah or birthday, they got me a Michigan t-shirt, which I wore for some reason. I'm really not, other than to match shorts. What was I thinking?
I don't know. My gosh. Did you have a head injury?
I might have.
Check for CTE.
Yeah, there was something wrong. And at one point, I think when I was a little bit younger, I got hooked into liking the Skankies.
Really?
And I'm glad I grew out of that, just because the Indians were terrible. You look at the crowd tonight at Progressive Field.
There's like 12 people there.
But that was the midsummer crowd at the old Municipal Stadium.
It was. My dad used to take me. My dad used to take me, and you would buy nosebleed seats, and no one was there, so you could just walk down, because the ushers were like, I don't care. Like, there's clearly no one here. Go for it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but that's great. I mean, that's amazing that everyone was in such a great mood.
Yeah.
I mean,
the atmosphere was incredible. It was incredible there.
It was fantastic. It wasn't a very exciting game, and it doesn't appear that tonight's is much better. But a win is a win at this point. I mean, that's why you just got to start stacking wins however you can get them, and you hope guys break out of a slump. I was happy to see John Kenzie with a couple of hits tonight. And they weren't bombs. They were, just nice.
They were hits. Right. That's what you want to see. That's what you want to see. Like the bombs are nice, but you can only do that. Usually when you are that powerful of a hitter, you also strike out a lot.
Yeah, he's got to have a better eye. He can't be Pedro Serrano up there.
Correct. I completely agree. And if anybody please tell me you get the reference, because great.
What did I see? That movie is 36 years old.
So that movie is 36 years old. How old am I? 44. I had no business watching that movie when I was younger. I had no business watching that movie when I was younger, but here we are,
I went to the theater to watch it. I'll tell you what, Heather, I was 9 years old. My mother dropped my best friend and I off at the theater matinee. We went to see Coming to America.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's a great movie.
When Eddie Murphy is getting personally bathed, that's not exactly something that a 9-year-old should be.
No. We watched some pretty good Revenge of the Nerds. We were talking about it last week. We referenced some of that. Not a movie we should have been watching if we were younger. But
my goodness. We are here. We are here. Well, I don't know. I mean, they've got to get something solved with all the refs and the umpires for sure. I am looking forward to, we've got the draft is coming up in 2 weeks. The NBA playoffs are, going to be, the play-in tournament is going to be next week.
Yeah.
And by the end of next weekend, we're going to be starting the NBA playoffs. And so that is something to look forward to. Lots of cool stuff going on here, Heather. And
it's a great time. It's a great time right now. You've got spring football next weekend. I think it's next weekend, or maybe it's this weekend. No. It's this weekend.
The spring game at Ohio State. Amazing.
Yeah, so it's a really good time. We're getting into the warmer weather. I know it doesn't feel like it right now. Baseball's in full swing. Playoffs are in full swing. Like it's a good time.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you see Kent State baseball is on a nice winning streak? They beat Ohio State today.
Did they? I mean, Ohio State, that's pretty great. That's huge. That's a significant win.
Sports that you're, the mid-major schools are going in and
right. When you beat that's a good win.
That's a great win. They're playing really well. That year that Kent State went to the College World Series was amazing. That was absolutely amazing. And would love to see them get back to at least winning the conference title and having that opportunity would be fantastic. But also, okay, I don't know what he just did, but if Mike says it, it's got to be true.
Yeah, it was a bad. It was.
Oh yes, and Ohio State sucks at baseball.
Sucks at baseball. Yeah,
but the softball team, how are they? Are they coming
along? The
softball
team is they lost to UCLA last weekend, but I knew that I figured that they would. UCLA is ranked like number 5 or something. They did okay. They did okay. Ohio State softball is never going to be up with the big guys, but seeing them more competitive than they ever have been, it's been nice to see. We haven't been ranked in a long time, so this team is really exciting. They're definitely going to make it into the postseason.
Well, the thing that's going to be kind of interesting for all of college athletics is what's going on with potential settlement between NCAA and plaintiffs having to do with the distribution of money, NIL and scholarships, et cetera, and how schools are going to balance that between football and basketball programs versus other sports. It's a whole can of worms that's about to get opened up here. And I don't know if it's good or not.
I don't know. We're going to have to do a whole show on that, to be honest with you, because there's a lot to unpack there. There's
absolutely there is a lot to it. And you know what? We're going to have more time to do that. And we do
every week, you guys. And, inbox us on the Best Dawg Gone Podcast on X and tell us what you want to hear.
Yes, please. Please like, subscribe, follow us because we want to know if there are topics that we're missing that you think we should be covering. Hey, you let us know and we will we'll do the work. We'll do the work. Dr. Now.
But give us a subscribe. Give us a subscribe on YouTube at the Best Dawg Gone Podcast and follow us on X and all of the things. You'll see all of the amazing things that we have coming up. So
yes, absolutely. All right, Heather. Well, thank you very much. As always, a pleasure. Thank you to all of the people who commented and listened tonight. We will be back again next week. We are going to be gearing up, starting to turn toward the NFL draft. And God knows what else.
Exactly.
So, for Heather, I'm Ethan, and you've been tuned into the Best Dawg Gone Podcast in the land, a part of the Fanatical Elves Network, a subsidiary of Fans First Sports Network. We'll see you next time.